Everybody, happy Friday. It is Facebook Live Friday, and I'm Elise Tager. I am having internet connection problems today. I hope I don't trip over my own feet here, and we are happy to go. So we'll see how it goes today. So I'm Elise Tager, Facebook ad strategist. I'm here every week, Friday at 11 a.m. Pacific time, and I provide Facebook ad strategy and implementation to entrepreneurs and coaches and all kinds of brands that have a desire to build a Facebook strategy to bring them more prospects and clients and revenue. We do the strategy and the implementation. So that's what I do. And as always, if you have any questions or comments, or you just want to say hi, just jump onto the comments below and I'll do my best to answer them while we're on live. So today is a good topic. I really want to share the benefits of hindsight, which is my hindsight in particular. I have been doing Facebook ads for 3 years, maybe even longer, and have suffered the slings and arrows of Facebook's growth and probably made every mistake known to man as far as Facebook advertising placement goes. So hopefully you can learn from my mistakes. This is really why I wanted to do this Facebook Live, was to help you avoid some of the mistakes I've made. Also, I find every time I do a Facebook ad campaign, and I do a lot of them for my clients these days, I learn something new, and Facebook is always changing, which is one of the reasons that if you just hop on and off, you are not going to know what you're doing. You're going to make mistakes. So again, it's an ongoing puzzle. You can always learn more. I just want to share some of the tips that I've learned along the way that might help you. So let's get started. First tip, give 48 hours. Once you set up a campaign, give it 48 hours before you touch anything. Facebook's algorithm takes some time to figure out what you're trying to accomplish, figuring out who to serve your ad to that's going to give you the best results. It takes some time for all that number crunching behind the scenes to kick into high gear. So my serious recommendation is you get started, but walk away for 48 days. And it's 48 hours. And it's such a temptation to jump on and start messing with it. I don't know about you, but every time I launch a new campaign, I'm hovering over my computer to see how the ad is doing. Don't do that. Give it 48 hours. Watch it to make sure things are happening, but don't touch it, because you want to give Facebook a time to do its best job to reach the objectives that you're trying to do. So first tip is give it 48 hours before you make any changes or do any optimization. Just be patient. That's tip number one. Tip number two, and this has gotten more and more important as Facebook has gotten more and more sophisticated, put a pixel everywhere. So a pixel, if you don't know, is a little piece of code that helps Facebook and you track what's happening with your ad. Think about all the number of places that you can get feedback from the ads that you're doing. So here's some examples. On your website, make sure that there's a pixel on every page of your website so that you can go back and retarget later on. What do I mean by retargeting? So retargeting is if someone's come to your Facebook page, let's go back. If someone's come to your website and there's a Facebook pixel on there, you can then go back later, a day later, a week later, and target just those people that have come to your website in a day or in 7 days with a different ad or another ad about the same topic. So you're giving them the old 1-2 punch and are more likely to get conversion, second time around than the first time. So it's a chance to get back to an already warm audience because they've already come to your website. So you can set up a website retargeting for 1 day, 7 days, 10 days, 120 days, as many times as you like to keep getting back to that warm audience. A specific blog post, if you have a blog post that you think is stellar or does a good job of talking about your brand, particular blog post, and again, retarget that audience with something specific to that blog post. You're getting very strategic in your marketing there. Another way, what else? Oh, the most obvious way to use a pixel is in your opt-in page. So here's a good example. So most ads send an audience, people click through your ad and they get to your opt-in page and convert by opting into whatever it is you're asking them to do, join a webinar or download a piece of content that you're using as a freebie. They opt into something. But typical landing pages like that only get 25% of the people who show up. So you've got 75% of those people who were interested enough to click on your ad and come over, but for whatever reason, they didn't sign up for whatever it is, your webinar or your freebie. So they have indicated an interest, but getting back to them with a day later, 7 days later, 30 days later, it's a chance to reposition, reoffer your content to them at a different time. So retargeting is probably one of the most successful and productive things that you can do with your Facebook ads, but you need to make sure your pixel is in place to do that. What else can you do? So there are lots of different ways to use a pixel. If you're not comfortable using a pixel, or if you don't know what it is, or if you don't know all the ways that you can use a pixel, get in touch with me. I'd love to give you more information, or go on Facebook and find out more about how the pixel can be used. But it's a stellar technique and tactic for creating very, very successful Facebook ads. That's the second tip. Third tip, and boy, this is so important. The tip is test, 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 test. So I've said before, when someone tells me that their Facebook ad was not successful, my first comeback is, one ad? You just went out with one ad? You should be testing the 2 ads that you're testing. Maybe one's an ad with a graphic on it, maybe another's a video. But you want to go out with 2 ads so you can say which is outperforming the other and which you want to focus on, or where you want to put all your spend the next time around. Every time you go out with something, there's so many things you can be testing. You can test the graphic in your ad. You can test a graphic versus a video. You can test a video versus a headshot. You can test headlines. You can test copy. Just make sure every time that you are doing a campaign that you have tests in place so you can get better the next time around. If you only go out with one version of something, you're never going to learn more. And as I've said many, many times, Facebook ads strategy is about test and iteration. You're always striving to get better because the first time out is never going to be your best effort. So test, 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 test. Also, make sure you're only testing one variable at a time. Meaning, you've got one ad. If you're going to change something, change the graphic. Don't change the graphic and the headline on the copy, because then you don't know what really made the difference from one ad to the other. So only test one variable, but always be testing. That is my middle name. Always be testing, because that's part of the strategy that's going to make you successful. If you have found an audience or an ad or a headline or a video that's working and you think, great, I've got this silver bullet, test against it. So even though it's done a fabulous job, maybe that video ad was fantastic, create another video. Test against it to see if you can do a better job with that, but an even better job. So that is my 4th tip. My 5th tip, and this is where I have made so many mistakes, and it's easy to do. Check the whole lead funnel for accuracy. What do I mean by that? So Facebook ads isn't just about the ad. The ad will take someone over to a landing page or an opt-in page. The opt-in page will take them to a thank you page. Make sure all of those pieces are set up correctly before you launch the campaign. I have made this mistake so many times, I'm embarrassed to even tell you. Make sure that your landing page has the pixel on it, so you can send that information back to Facebook that the conversions are working. Make sure that your landing page is set up with your email provider so that you know that when you've asked someone to opt in, you're actually feeding that information about the email address and the name back to your email list. So it's actually doing what you wanted to do, which is to build your email list. Make sure that if you are connecting to a webinar platform or a online calendar, that those links are correct and accurate. Make sure that what you're asking someone to do is actually set up correctly on the back end before you start your campaign. Test again, and test a third time. Sign up yourself and go through the whole process with multiple names and email addresses, so you're really making sure that that whole funnel is set up correctly. Don't skip this step. You will waste tons of money if you do this and you aren't seeing results. So take the time to do that. Check your whole lead flow. So just to recap, and those are just 4 tips that I think it's given me lots of problems in the past, but also I can save you a lot of time with. So the first is give your campaign a good 48 hours before you start optimizing. I know it's tempting. Don't get in there and start messing with anything. Facebook advertising is set up to help you succeed. Really, that algorithm is here to make you achieve your objectives. So make sure that you give Facebook the time to do its job. So that's the first tip. The second is use a pixel everywhere. So many big brands, and this shocks me, so many big brands do not use pixels. I don't know what they're thinking, but how do you know if your Facebook ads are working unless you can track it? The pixel is what allows you the tracking process. So make sure that you're putting a pixel anywhere and everywhere that you can to be able to track activity and retarget against that activity later on in your strategy. The third thing is test. Test ads, test headlines, test graphics, test videos, always go out with more than one thing so you can test one thing against another. The fourth thing is check the whole lead funnel for accuracy and correct setup. This behind the scenes stuff and this admin stuff, it is also very detail oriented. And if I'm not a detail person, if I'm ever going to make a mistake, it's going to be in this kind of administrative work. Be sure that you take the time to be very detail oriented yourself to make sure that you're testing the back end to make sure that everything is doing what you want it to do. Otherwise, you're just ripping up $100 bills if you're placing those Facebook ads and the back end isn't performing correctly. So do yourself a favor. So those are just some tips for me. I have lots more. I will share more tips and things to watch out for as you go through learning and doing more in Facebook advertising. As I said, there's so much to know. Facebook is getting more and more sophisticated as we go. I'm learning, I'm doing this as a profession, all the time, and I still find that there are things that I'm learning and things that Facebook is changing that I have to work to keep up with. So if I can help you learn, I'm happy. Last thing, if you are at the stage of your business, hold on, I see people are with me. Let me see if I can find out who they are. Nope, that's not the right thing. I'm a little new to Be Live TV, so bear with me a second, people. And I can't see anybody's here. Well, I know there are people online with me, so thanks for joining me today. If you are at the stage of your business where you are ready to use Facebook ads in a very strategic way to help you grow, and you'd like some outside help, I would love to help you do that. Facebook can play a major part of your growth. I see this with my clients every day. I'm working with a whole bunch of people who are entrepreneurs that that know that Facebook is a part of their strategy, and they're relying on me to build those strategies and implement those programs to make sure that they're growing the way that they want to grow. So if that's you, if you're at the stage where you really want to grow your business, you know Facebook's going to be a part of that, give me a holler. I'm going to show, there's a link here. Yeah, so if you'd like to find out more about how to work with me or just be able to chat, there's a link there. You can go there and sign up for a call about how Facebook is currently working your business, and you can do a better job, or if I can help you with that. So, and with that kind of call, there's no heavy duty sales. I'm just here to explore with you whether Facebook is a good part of your business, or can helpful, or if we can do a better job, or if I can help you. So it's just a chat, you and me chatting, nothing heavy duty. So those are my 4 tips for today. These are things that I learned the hard way that I'm hoping you don't have to suffer through as I did. As always, I'll be here every Friday. I do a Facebook Live every Friday at 11 a.m. Pacific time with more tips and tricks to help you understand how to bring Facebook into your work as well. So that's it for me. Happy Friday. Have a great weekend, and I'll see you online and here next week. Thanks for joining me.